Welcome to the Creative Thread podcast. I'm your host, Meg Lukes, and I am so excited for today's interviewee. Her name is Elizabeth Blank. I have been following you for so long. I don't even remember when we really started following each other, but your work, especially your underwater work, is incredible. You're an amazing portrait photographer. You do, of course, as I mentioned, a lot of underwater
Yeah.
photography, drone as well. You dabble in lots
Yeah.
of different things, which I love. I resonate with that. So, for someone discovering your work for the very first time, how
Sure.
would you describe what you create?
Oh, that's a great question. You're starting with the hard ones. I love it.
Yeah.
How would I describe what I create? I think the thing that drives my work is I love clean, accurate images, but I love for them to give a perspective that maybe the viewer otherwise either has never seen before or is experiencing in a different way than they ever have before. So when you go underwater specifically, a lot of times, especially with the editing that I do in post and all of that, it's an environment that is very similar to what I saw personally through the lens of my camera, but it's not like anything somebody would see just with the naked eye under the surface. So I would describe my work as clean, whimsical, and a little bit different than what you
Mhm.
would normally see from a typical portrait photographer.
Yeah. I One of the things I really love about what you do is you do like these split views, right? So you have
Yeah.
the underwater world, which is
Yeah.
sort of
Favorite.
surreal, magical, and then you've got the above perspective, which is just feels a little bit obviously more realistic. So you kind of got like these two different worlds
Right.
that you're showcasing. And I think that's also really brilliant. And I feel like you're really known for that.
Aw, thank you for saying that. Those are some of my most favorite to create because I do feel like it kind of draws in what I'm trying to do creatively as well, which is still give credence to reality, but also while kind of making somebody dream about what's under the surface of the water. So kind of tying both of those worlds together is just kind of a way for me, I guess, figuratively to show the difference between underwater and on land images. And when you can combine the two, it can make a really kind of interesting image. One of my most favorites that I ever captured was kids jumping into the pool from above. So they were out of the water, but then a child had just jumped into the water. So they were
Mhm.
already under the surface. And to me, it was just there's just a lot to study there, kind of like the layers of figuring your eye immediately goes to the child under the surface, but then you're like, oh, there's kids waiting to jump. So it kind of gives that push and pull a little bit. But yeah, I love the above below images.
With your underwater photography, too, one of the things I have personally noticed is your use of lights. Absolutely amazing. I don't know a whole lot about underwater photography, but I feel like in most cases, light is going to be really important, especially like a specific kind of light, maybe because you have water that the light has to filter through. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right. So all of the same principles that apply above the water apply
Mhm.
below. And I would almost say that they're not more important. I mean, light is important anywhere, but underwater, you can very quickly lose some of that magical power of light if you're kind of in an area of water that doesn't have. I wouldn't say you can lose the magical quality. It's still there, but you can definitely highlight it through the use of work and kind of knowing which way directionally you should be shooting.
Mhm.
And I've never actually shot with flash or anything underwater. I know that there are tons of um, underwater photographers that dive and they lose light so quickly that they have to tap on, a flash. For me, I stay usually about 8 feet or higher, lower, higher,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
water.
Sounds good.
And so, yeah, I'm like, how do you say that? Um, so the light is still coming in nicely. I'm not losing a
Mhm.
ton of it. Now, the closer I get to 8 feet, obviously it drops off considerably. So, what I typically do before a session is I will go and look at the body of water and figure out how is the light interacting with it because water is so much more dense than air that a lot of times when that light starts getting absorbed by those water particles, you lose it
Mhm.
really quickly. So what I will do is typically go out and study the body of water before I ever even get my camera out, before I ever get in the water to kind of figure out where is the light coming from? Is it directional? Is it directly above head? You're going to get a very, very different picture depending on where that light's coming from. A lot of times, if you shoot at high noon, you'll get what we call the crocodile or skin or the cheetah skin, where you've got the prints all over the subject because of
Mm,
the way that the shadows are playing within the water. So you'll get that kind of really wacky print. But if the light's coming in directionally as it does, closer to sunrise or sunset, you will typically be able to isolate your subject a little bit more and have those kind of really vivid rays coming in behind them. So it plays a really big
okay.
part. But yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing what I do so much, because you have to consider all of these things before you ever even take the first picture. And I feel like a lot of times when I was shooting clients at different locations and things like that, they would get out of the car and you would want to take those first minutes and immediately jump to it because they had young children or whatnot. And so I just find myself slowing down when I shoot
Mm,
underwater, which is a really, really beautiful change for me in terms
yeah.
of creating.
It's like putting a puzzle together. There's a lot of factors that
Absolutely.
come into play, right?
Exactly,
So
right?
you
And
got
you
to take your
usually have to
time.
start with the border, and I would say studying the light, or that's how I do my puzzles.
Hmm.
But it's studying the light is kind of the border that's gonna allow for all of that creation to
Hmm.
to go into the middle pieces, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great analogy.
that
Yeah,
makes complete sense. I love that. I'm so interested in your background, like learning more
yeah.
about little Elizabeth.
Oh,
Were
that's
you
sweet.
always drawn to storytelling as a kid?
Yes and no. I think if you were to ask my mom that, she would say I was the most imaginative, like,
Aw.
child, and that I could come up with a story and run with it and convince everyone around me that it was true. Yes, so I would say yes, but
Hmm.
it always hasn't looked like photography, if that makes sense. So, um, my background, I have a master's in counseling. And so I think I was drawn to the storytelling of others.
Hmm.
Through that, I really love knowing other people's stories and what makes them them and what makes them happy and what makes them sad and kind of just understanding the whole person. So I would say I've definitely always been drawn to storytelling, but it's just kind of morphed over the years in terms of
Hmm.
how that's looked in my life. But
Right.
yeah, I've been creating stories for families. Gosh, I mean, it's been 16, 17 years, which when I say that, it feels like a really long time. But that the way that I tell stories for clients or for my own family has definitely morphed over time as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's true to so many people. I started when I was really little and I started with film. And so the
Yeah.
things I
Was
photographed then
your dad a
are different.
photographer? Am I remembering this correctly?
What was
Your
that?
dad was your dad a
Yeah.
photographer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he still picks up a camera every now and then, but yeah,
I
I
love it.
mean, I was photographing things like flowers and landscapes, but then,
Right.
as I got older and I started having a family, then things naturally shifted
It
because I
does.
wanted to photograph my kids and my family and then I wanted
Yeah,
to photograph other families. So, yeah.
right. And I don't know about you, but it's funny because that's also what motivated me initially to start a business and things of that nature. And now that my own kids are getting out of that easy to document, I wouldn't say easy to
Mm,
document, the stage where they kind of put up a little bit more resistance than they have in the past. I'm redefining myself even more now. So I'm realizing that it's a really fluid process of going through life and that the camera's always going to be there. It just might be that the output of what I am creating looks a little bit different, and that's okay. It's just kind of reflects the stage of life that you're in, and it's been a good lesson for me.
that's so beautifully put. I resonate with that so deeply because I have shifted quite a bit, from what I used to share to what I share now,
Right.
because my kids are in school and they're
Right.
older, and then they have, extracurricular activities after school that they're doing. And
All of
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know. I'm really enjoying being with the camera in regard to like self portraits,
And
right?
and you're
So,
just making the most beautiful things
oh,
ever. I
oh,
haven't
thank you.
figured out yet how to shoot myself underwater, but if
It needs
I
to
need
happen.
I need to look into that. I need to figure it out.
Hmm.
But the I don't know, I feel like I'm also getting a sense, like, when I look at your work of who you are, like, to be able to explore that also within yourself in front of the camera as well as behind, because you're sitting with yourself also in a different medium, I'm sure
Hmm.
is really an interesting process. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it definitely is, but
But
I
going
think
back to the kids, yeah, that's also a different process as well.
I think that one thing that, is so true between all of us is like the need to be with our camera and whatever that is, like whatever we're photographing, right?
Right. Right.
We don't want to lose our reason why. And that shifts over time, like
It does.
why we're picking up
Absolutely.
the camera, but
Right.
there's a desire and a need to create art, whatever
Yes.
that
Yes.
again may look like. Yeah.
And sometimes what we were creating art of, like, I mean, we've already said, it changes. And so there's
Mhm.
beauty in all of it.
Was there a point where you realized this is my voice? This feels like me. Did you have like that aha moment within your creative journey?
So it's interesting that you asked that. And yes, absolutely. It's almost crazy because I think if you had asked me this a decade ago, I'd have been like, no, it's just always there, whatever. But there was a specific moment, and I could go back and I could pull the data from the photo that I took to tell you the exact moment. I probably should do that. Um, but I was so busy with client work and really resisting. We had put a pool in our backyard, and I had friends who said, "You really should get in the pool and take pictures underwater." And I was like, "Nope,
Mm,
I'm not," because that is protected family time. When I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I'm at home. And while I was still capturing my family, I just wanted that to be a protected space. And they just really pushed over and over again. And finally, I was like, "Okay, I'm going to get a little point and shoot and I'll take it and I'll prove to them that this is not for me." And Meg, when I tell you the first day I took it under there, I was like, "Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, this is what I'm meant to do." It, like I said, it was silent. I was creative in a way that I'd never been creative before. So yeah, I mean, there was that exact moment that felt really
mm.
defining to me. And when I look back at the work I created before that, I'm still really proud of it. But it was like I was making it and it was true to who I was, but there was I don't know, there was just a voice that was added that moment in time. It was 2016, summer of, um, yeah, and it was almost like my trajectory changed in that moment of everything that I was doing. I rebranded myself, I took on different clients. I mean, I really made my business a lot smaller, but I figured out a way to make that the thing that drove everything that I did from that moment on.
And not only do you love it, you're good at it, but also you develop like a niche, something that is very unique. And I
Yeah, and
think
it's not for everybody,
that's
and that's
right.
okay, you know? It was
Hmm.
interesting. I don't know if I should be telling the story or not, but I'm going to. I had an ad agency or an agency reach out, I think last year, and they sent the nicest email, and they were like, "We are just, I'm obsessed with your work. Live on the coast and was a swimmer in high school and just love. Like it was." And she was like, "Can we jump on a call?" And I said, "Absolutely." And then a couple of days went by and I didn't hear anything. And then we got on a call and she said, I showed your work to somebody in my office. And they unfortunately just said that you are way too niche for what we are looking for." And
Mm,
I said, "Hey, that is okay because I'm not ultimately," I walked away from that conversation feeling like I think it would have rattled me maybe a decade ago. And instead, I was like, I am so grateful to know exactly what my purpose and what I want to create looks like and is. And if it's not broad enough for folks, that's okay because I
hmm.
have found a clientele that is working really well for me. I don't know if that resonates, but there was just really a lot of power in realizing that what I create is enough for me. And as long as that's okay for me and enough for me, then it really doesn't matter what the outside world is deciding in terms of my breadth of work and portfolio and all of that. So, yeah,
Mm,
it's really a
yeah.
freeing, liberating thing to realize that you're doing exactly what you are supposed to be doing.
Yeah. I love that for you, it was a very specific moment in time where
Yes.
you had that aha moment where you really felt like you found your voice. For some, like for me, it wasn't a very specific moment, but it was about the same time. So I think it was like 2015,
Yeah. Yeah.
2016 where I stopped doing textbook stuff and started
Yes.
kind of like experimenting a little bit more and found
Right.
more of my style, my voice. But it was a transition of like over a year, and even so now, looking back at my work from 2015, 2016,
Yeah.
my work is very different now in some ways. especially with in regard to color, than it was then.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same for you, maybe too. Like there's
But
definitely
you
some
still see Meg
transitions.
in that work. I mean, like, there's
Right.
still an overriding fact that it was you that create right? I mean, I think that
Mhm.
sometimes we can't get away from what our true self is, what our the soul behind our work is, but it can definitely take a
Mm,
different I mean,
right.
thankfully, as I look back at that
Right.
my beginning stuff and I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness we grew here." But,
I
yeah,
know. I think
yeah.
that's why sometimes it's important to also, when you're in a rut or feeling
Oh,
really
yeah.
down about your work, look back at your old work, and then you're
Right?
going to be like, wow, I've really grown.
Exactly, yes,
It's
it's
only
very
up.
easy to get wrapped up in, like, the feeling like you're not progressing quickly enough, or yes, go back and look at those first few folders of images and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, yeah, we're making progress here."
Right.
Yeah.
So I am curious, what does water
Yeah.
allow you to say visually that land-based portraiture doesn't? Like what
Mm.
does it allow you to do more so than like regular
So it's
portraiture?
really interesting. My brain goes 1,000 places all at once, like, all day
Mm.
long. I was folding the laundry yesterday, and I was like, "How many thoughts do you think you've just had while you're folding this one load of laundry?" And I mean, it was
Mm.
I mean, it's just like a inbox, just
Yeah.
pinging all the time. And so for what water provides me with that land does not is the ability to silence everything. You go under,
Mm.
and the only thing you're concerned about, well, 2 things, like staying alive and creating an image. So, like, those are 2 I mean, you've gotta come up for air at some point, which I also think is a really nice metaphor for life because, like, there are times where life can feel really just like a lot. And so you've gotta put that, as they say on an airplane, you gotta put your air mask on first before you can take care of anybody else. But there's something in the silence that happens under there, and truly the thought that, like, I'm gonna study this light, I'm gonna create this image, and then I'm gonna go up for air, and it kind of takes away all of the distractions that otherwise in my brain, even when I fold
Mm.
laundry, is are pinging. It allowed me just to focus solely on creation rather than, "What's for dinner? What am I doing here?" All of the different thoughts that I have at any given moment.
Yeah. That's so true. That I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see why it quiets the world, which is so noisy at
so noisy.
times, so
So noisy.
busy.
And then truly
Ah.
it's like, "Okay, well, I gotta go back up," I mean, because
Mhm.
I hold my breath. I mean, I do have one little tank that I can go down and do, but there's also a moment where it's really nice to come up and interact with your subject. I do very little direction. I will tell my
Okay.
subjects,
Yeah.
what area of the water I want them in, and maybe give them directional, like, if you're gonna swim, go this way or what have you. But besides that, I'm like, go, have fun. So I think it's infectious in that regard as well, because they're having fun, they're doing what they love, and I'm just getting to capture it. But it's nice to go back up and also obviously speak to them and everything about what's happening
Yeah.
on their end.
Yes, that kind of answers my next question,
Yeah.
but I'll ask just to see if you want to expand on that even more. So, when you're
Sure.
planning an underwater image,
Yeah.
how much is like carefully designed versus discovered in the moment?
So that's a great question. I would say
Mhm.
it either goes 100% one way or 100% the other. It's either completely fly by the seat of my pants or
Mm.
it is completely planned out. So, probably 70% of the time, it's fly by the seat of my pants. Like, it's a beautiful day. Let's go. The light looks great. Let's do this.
Mhm.
I mean, if I'm shooting for clients, obviously that's different. We will work through a creative process and discuss what they want their images to look like. Where they see in their home that they're going to put them? Are they going to be in like a bright, colorful playroom, and they want kind of those bright, beautiful colors to come through, or is it going to be maybe in a dining room or in an area that's a little bit more muted and they either want it in black and white or kind of softer tones. So we do a lot of creative planning when I'm shooting specifically for a client. For myself, yeah, it's very much fly by the seat of my pants. But then on the flip side, I'm incredibly inspired by music. When I hear music, I
I know you
visually
are.
see the
Yeah.
lyrics, which I know I mean, you're 90s. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And we
Um,
share a love of Adele.
oh my
Like,
gosh. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yes. Yes. I've never met her, but she seems to be maybe my most favorite person in the
Just
world.
love her. Just love
Um,
her.
but any music, I mean, it's funny. It can be Moana, it can be a Disney
Mm.
song, or it
Yeah.
can be everything from who was I really really this summer. I Annie Lennox, maybe, I don't know. There was a
Okay.
lyric that Annie Lennox had in a song, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I'm going to shoot that, and that's going to be what's going to
Mhm.
drive this entire shoot that I did. And actually, I
Mhm.
attempted to shoot myself in that situation. It was a hot mess, but I'm going to try again this summer. So,
I love that.
but the intention is still there, and I see what I want the final image to be. So I'm not going to stop until it's created. But
Good for you. I can't wait to see it.
yeah.
I think that'll be amazing. Is underwater photography unpredictable? Does it change the way you create because it is somewhat unpredictable?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. And
Mm.
you can shoot at the same time every single day, but as the world turns, that sun is moving in the
Mhm.
sky. And so the light's never going to replicate itself ever again. And, the clouds can be different one day versus the next, the diffusion coming through the water.
Mhm.
So, yeah, absolutely. I think the unpredictability of it, you also can't necessarily pose your subjects, which I find incredibly liberating because it kind
Yeah.
of then allows for that creativity to flow where, again, I just get to study them quietly and figure out, like, oh, in 3 seconds, they're going to be in this area, which is going to equal this once I click the shutter. So there is a lot of unpredictability to it. And sometimes it's a huge win, and sometimes it's a huge fail. And I also love that part because I'm not reviewing, I'm not chimping like on my camera, I'm not reviewing the files as I'm taking them. I come in and I put my card into my computer, and that's when I see what I've created. So there's also a
Right.
very big excitement point of once the session's done to kind of come in and see what you've got. I almost like equate it a little bit to film. I mean, obviously it's very different, but that delayed gratification is definitely present there.
Right.
So yeah, I would definitely say the unpredictability of it is huge.
Now, you mainly photograph children. That's
Yes.
correct, right?
Yeah,
So,
correct.
and I know you're a mom.
Oh, yeah.
Has becoming a mother changed how, basically how you tell stories, how you photograph what feels important? Like, has that
Sure,
changed?
absolutely. I think I'm in a different stage of motherhood than I was when I began, obviously. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
15, 16 years. So the stories have changed, and I think if anything, it has definitely informed how I tell stories because I realize with each given stage, there are memories that feel like just the most monotonous, mundane moment in time because you're in it in that moment. But I think what I've learned by being on this side of motherhood is that those moments are the ones that you're going to miss the absolute most. And while they can feel not very polished, they're
Hmm.
not beautifully packaged in a bow. Those are the
Yeah.
ones that those are the memories and the images that you're going to look back and be like, "Oh, I'm so glad I captured that." I'm so
Hmm.
it's beautiful to take your kids out and uh, get them all dressed
Create
up and
something.
like put a
Hmm.
bow in their hair and put them in the middle of a field and the light's beautiful. But then there's also something about like taking a picture of the dirty cleats or the laundry that they've left on the stairs as they've gone up for a shower that night and things
Hmm.
of that nature. So I definitely think that it's informed me as a storyteller in the sense that the little details of stories are really, really important. And they're the ones that you're going to be most nostalgic for once that stage has passed. So yeah,
Yeah.
I try
And they're
to
relatable, right? They're
yeah,
relatable. Like,
absolutely, right? Yes,
mhm.
and relatable and fleeting and all of the things that just make the whole motivation for capturing a story and for capturing my family's story really important and definitely drives me when I'm capturing stories for other people as well.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah, just
beautifully put.
those little moments, you just realize
Hmm.
how fleeting they
They
are.
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my oldest is about to start driving. He's going to be doing driver's training soon, which I need to create a portrait about that. But that to me,
Yeah.
just like it
Yeah.
blows my mind. We're
I
at
tell you
this
what, that
point
also
somehow.
becomes life-changing. Like, I was
Mhm.
so anxious for that moment,
Yeah.
and for the first week or 2, I was like, "No, you're not going anywhere," and then she was gone, and I'm like, "Oh, thank it was so nice."
Yeah.
I could be like, "Oh, I need to can you run to Target and get X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah. Can I also get a lip balm, gloss or
Lip
something?" I'm like,
balm, lip
"Yeah,
gloss.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to pay for your
Hmm.
gas to go." Like,
That's
"Thank
so
you."
wild.
It's so wild. So,
Mm.
different stages of motherhood. I mean, they bring all the emotions, but yes, a driver's portrait's so important because
Mhm.
again, there's that one time that he'll leave in a
I know.
car
It's a
that
big moment.
hasn't been driven by you or your husband.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
He's ready. Let me tell you. let's talk about passion projects. What project are you most proud of? Not because it
Mm,
performed really well on social
sure.
or whatever, but because it
Yeah.
meant something to you.
So I'm very involved in a charity here in Atlanta called Rally Foundation, and which I know that you fully understand the backstory of this, but they raise money to specifically fund up and coming researchers who are studying childhood cancers.
Mhm.
So there's a medical board of directors that looks at researchers who are in the lab currently doing studies. And so I work really closely with Raleigh to do fundraising efforts for them. Goodness, it's probably been a decade that I did the math recently,
Wow.
maybe 8 years that I've I work with them every January in February to capture portraits. They have a huge event every spring called Rally on the Runway, and they have childhood cancer patients act as the models with our
Oh
Atlanta
my
Falcons
gosh.
players. They get headshots taken. So I've done those for yeah, I think 8 years now, and we actually this is really close to my heart because last Friday was our event this year and had record-breaking success. So it was wonderful, and it's nice to see that the Atlanta community steps up, but I also love being a part of the storytelling for them because I walk around and y you see pictures of kids who, are unfortunately no longer here, and
Mhm.
just getting to be with them in that moment and the treatment world is a different world. And so portraits are not necessarily you don't have time, to plan all of that.
Mhm.
And so sometimes these families have said to me, like, that's the last portrait, that's the last professional portrait we've ever had made and things like that. And so
Yeah.
a lot of them are obviously thriving and doing so well. And main child that I knew back in '08 when I was working in the school system, he's now married and has a child of his own. So there's a lot of
Oh.
wonderful success stories. But
Mhm.
you just realize that you can never take a moment for granted. And I think through my work with them, that's magnified even more. And so that's definitely my number one passion project. I mean, there's quite a few. I also really have seen how I can invest in swim education for all. There's a huge disparity between different racial groups and the access to swim education. And so that's another huge one that I'm always thinking of so that we
Mhm.
can make sure that our most vulnerable are
Mhm.
equally prepared to
Right.
be around water because it's such a easy fix in just terms of lessons
Mhm.
and things of that nature. So there's definitely a couple of projects that I have that are always, again, going on in the 100 tabs that I have open in my brain at any moment.
Mhm.
But yeah, childhood cancer research is definitely, it's right here. Yeah,
Yeah,
right here.
a big one.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
huge.
and raising funds and money for research is so important because there's really not a lot of funding
Yeah.
going to that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we've
I mean, it's
benefited from the
4%, right, of the
research.
national budget. Yeah.
Right. It's really low, and we've benefited from the research. I know others have, and yeah, it's just such an important thing. I just love that you devote a lot of your time
Yeah. Yeah.
to giving back in some way.
It was a moment where it defined all of my work. My husband and I had they call them challenge teams. And if you raise $50,000 through donors and sponsorships and
Right.
things like that, you get to choose a research study for your grant to go to. And so we had all of the grant information presented to us and then got to call a researcher and tell him that his research was being funded by the grant that we had raised. And in that moment, you realize that these researchers are in these labs and the money's not necessarily just being dropped off at their doorstep. So
Mm-mm.
it's really important that we can continue doing that work because I think in those labs or when those like otherwise hopeless moments for families are
Mhm.
starting to be filled with hope. So yeah, it's a very, very important part of that process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, thank you for sharing all of that.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
have two more questions for you.
Okay.
First, uh, what advice would you give to artists struggling to trust their own voice, to find their voice? Both of those things, really. Do you have some advice that you could offer?
Hmm. it's such a great question, and I wish I was like, "Yes, 1, 2, and 3."
Yeah.
I wish it was that easy because
No.
definitely, I mean, even as I'm, like, saying how in love and how much my vision is always apparent under the water, let's be fair. I mean, there have definitely been seasons where it's like, "Oh, well, that did not go as I anticipated or wanted or whatnot." So, I think the number one thing is tenacity. I mean, if you can just stick with it and, again, look back at your earlier work, l look at different things, music, for instance, or other art
Mhm.
forms,
Mhm.
whatever really calls to you. Figure out what it is that your aesthetic is and how you can begin to bring that into your own work as you're creating. Because if you're creating inauthentic images or you're trying to be someone else, I mean, Instagram, isn't it? It's a wonderful place, but it's also sometimes a really hard place because you feel like the comparison is the thief of all joy, right? So when you're really
Mhm.
happy with what you've created, but then you log on and you see somebody else's work and it feels like somebody else is getting this or somebody else is getting that. It can be, it can take the wind out of your sails a little bit. So, one, creating what feels authentic to you because you're never you're never going to lose your voice if it's authentically being said is number one, I think. Number two is, again, getting off of social media when you feel like that rat race is doing anything other than inspiring. It can so quickly become just this game of comparison. Those would be my two things, but the authenticity of it all. Don't feel like you can't. I don't know. I follow an account where it's all about your voice matters, no matter what it looks like, no matter if anybody else is liking it, if it's being received well. You are the only person who can tell your story exactly through your own lens. So, embracing that, realizing that the creativity that you bring to the forefront cannot be matched by anybody else. I think all of those are really important. It's all easier said than done, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not just something that you can like be easy if there was like a pill you could take in the morning and be like, "Oh, I'm going to be creative and authentic and I'm just going to do my best today." Of course, like,
Mhm.
the imposter syndrome and the comparison, all of those things are going to get to you. But at the end of the day, knowing that you created something that felt like it was you, that you feel proud of, yeah, that's in line with your own heart. Yeah,
Right.
that'd be where I would start. I don't know. I
Right.
could talk for hours about it probably.
Right, and the right people will find you, right? So,
And the right
you
people will
know
find you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're doing things authentically, it becomes very visible to other people who are seeing it. And when you're on the flip side, if you're
Yes.
doing things inauthentically, I think
Pe
it also
people
becomes really
know.
easy for people to spot.
Yeah, I think so too. I really do. I think there's a lot of people that can see through that.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, we
absolutely.
can see through that. We know when someone is typically being authentic and when they're being inauthentic. And the older I've got, the more I just have learned to just kind of like let go and be like, you know
Yeah.
what? I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care if I
Right.
look like crazy. I don't care if I'm wearing pajamas in my portraits all the time because I'm in my
Right.
pajama era.
Right. Right.
Let's just do what we want to do.
Well, and I think when you show up authentically, it gives others permission to show up authentically as well. So it becomes this trickle down effect of you know, being being authentic for those around you as well. So, yeah, I love your pajama era though. It's my
I'm in
favorite.
it. Thank you.
You
I'm
can't
in
see what's
it.
on the bottom. There may be pajama pants down here.
I know. There might be. There
Yeah,
probably
there might
is.
be. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I love
You
it.
never know. Yes.
So, okay, at the end of every interview, I
Yeah.
ask this it's a fun little question. What's a very specific thing that makes you feel nostalgic? Do you have a specific thing in mind?
Clothes that my kids have grown out of.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good
Yeah.
one. I have a hard time getting rid of certain clothes, of course, and
Me too.
I keep a
Me
lot
too.
of them, but
Yep.
there's some of them where I, like, look at them and I know exactly like, a photo and will pop up in my head.
Yep.
I remember
Oh,
when they
yeah.
wore this, what we were
Yep.
doing.
Yep. Where we were, if it was summer, if it was winter, even if it's a piece of clothing that isn't is kind of nondescript, what their haircut was, what their little hands like. I try really hard to get rid of things as but clothing for me is just it's just a I just yeah, yeah,
You're
clothing.
preaching to the choir.
Absolutely.
I've
Yeah.
got bins and boxes.
Yep. Oh, same, same.
It's
And
bad.
having a daughter that's 4 years older than my youngest daughter, I'm like, "Oh, she'll wear it. She'll wear it." And really, I think it's just me not being able to get rid of it
Hmm.
because she's not gonna wear it,
Yeah.
or she won't like it, or it will be out of style or what have you. But I'm like, "Oh, no, I
Yeah.
just need to keep
Because
it."
they all have
I've got
different
bathing suits,
personalities.
like, from the first year that I shot underwater. I'm like, "Oh, this is
Mm,
the one that they swam through this light." It's ridiculous.
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely clothing.
Oh,
I'm sure
I'm
there's
with you.
more, but that's the first one that
That
immediately
came
came to
to
mind.
mind. I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
hang on to that clothing, and
And they, like,
I'm
hold up
gonna
their
never
little
get rid of.
newborn outfits, and
I
they're,
ha
like, this big.
I
Yeah.
still have clothing from my childhood that I've not
Same,
gotten rid of. I mean, I'm not getting
same.
rid of some of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Right,
Now at this
right?
point, it's
Yeah.
back in style now.
Right,
So,
exactly, exactly. So, yeah, that's
oh,
definitely a soft spot for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find your work and follow
Aw,
along? So I know you post here and there on
yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, I do. I'm not so I'm often active in supporting others. I'm not great at
Yeah.
posting. Again, for me, Instagram quickly became kind of it felt a little bit of an energy suck.
Mm,
And I would overthink, "What's the caption I'm gonna post?" So when
yeah.
I've told myself this summer season, we're posting more, and I'm gonna try to stick to it. I'm gonna stop overthinking it.
I'll be your
See if that
biggest
happens.
cheerleader.
Yeah, let's see if that happens. But that's the goal. And there's just so much in my archives that needs to be posted. But yes, anyways, Elizabeth Blank at Instagram at Elizabeth Blank. And then
Mhm.
again, same situation with Facebook. It's never updated. But this is gonna motivate me. Meg, we're gonna do this
Mhm.
now. I'm gonna go have a new portfolio out there for you.
Yeah.
Instagram folk.
I'll be here. I will say I am not very good at posting on other social media. Just
Yeah,
I can just basically focus on one, and that's about it. So
sure.
I,
Sure.
you know.
And you do Instagram so well that
Oh, thank you.
you've got it figured out.
Thank you.
So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, the only reason I would post to Facebook is if the captions are, the little check boxes like just send it over there already. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, and then it's just Elizabeth Blank Photography on Facebook. But again, if you're on Instagram, it will populate the same stuff on
Yeah.
Facebook. So,
Yep. Yep. You have
yeah,
beautiful work. I am so
thank
inspired by it.
you.
And
Thank you for
it does
having
make
me.
me want to, yeah, thank you for being on here. I do have some underwater gear myself, not a lot. Like I have a GoPro and like a dome.
Yeah.
But
The domes
you've
are the
always,
domes are the key for that over under situation.
yes, every time I see a photo of yours, it inspires me to get that thing out. So
It's
maybe I'll
gorgeous.
make a goal for myself this summer. I'm
There you go.
inspired by you to like create something in Lake Superior because we
There you
live near
go.
there.
There you
So,
go. And I mean, you'll need a wetsuit, but
yeah, that too because it's freezing.
yeah, 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, a really thick one. So, but that would be amazing. I can't even imagine how incredible your underwater stuff would be.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you for being on here, for talking with
Thank you for
me.
having
It's
me.
been an
This
honor.
was so much fun. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see everything that you do with this new platform.
Thanks for listening to The Creative Thread. Be sure to follow along for future conversations on creativity and the stories behind the work.